Hello, welcome back to the OTB channel. Today I'm going to take a look at a new window manager written in Rust called LeftWM. It's incredibly simple to customize and I'm really impressed with it. See you after the intro. Okay, welcome back. I always forget this bit, so perhaps now I'll tell you, please like and subscribe. It's great for the channel. And please come and join me on Library as well. I'm starting to feel that Library really is taking off, and I think it's the future. So if you want to watch this video ad-free, please go over there. Right, let's get on with what today's video is about. You know I like tiling window managers. I've played with most of them. I found some of them pretty frustrating to configure, Xmonad probably being the prime example of that. But I do like the way Xmonad works, and it works in the same way as TWM in terms of the way it treats its workspaces or tags or whatever they call them. But I found Qtile so far to be the simplest to configure amongst those window managers that work in a very similar way. They're all dynamic window managers. So when Distrotube kind of showcased LeftWM, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, I thought to myself, well, you've got to have a look, haven't you? So that's exactly what I'm going to do today. I'm going to show you what you get by default if you install LeftWM. I'm going to show you how to switch between themes, and then I'm just going to finish off by showing you what I've been living in for the last couple of weeks, because I didn't want to do a review straight away until I'd actually, used it in anger, if you like. And I'm pretty pleased with where I'm up to. So let's go to the split screen and start the ball rolling. Right, so you should see LeftWM's website on the side of the screen now. And it's pretty simple. It doesn't say a huge amount. Why go left? Well, it's written in Rust for stability and performance. I think Rust is one of those new languages that's gaining a lot of traction at the moment, and it's meant to be quite fast. Alacrity, the terminal, is written in Rust, and that's certainly fast. And Alacrity is actually the default terminal for this. And it says it's designed to do one thing and one thing well, be a window manager. And yeah, a little bit like BSPWM. The structure of it is not one single config file. It has a separate config file for the key bindings, and then it works on this concept of themes, that you have theme folders. And the look and feel of LeftWM is all dictated by the themes. And you can use a range of different bars. You can use Polybar, you can use Lemon Bar, you can use Xmobar, completely up to yourself. But right from the word go, if you launch LeftWM, all you're going to get is a black screen and the default key bindings, which is pretty much what happens. So built around the concept of themes, and there's not a huge amount on this page. It basically just introduces it. You need to go to the GitHub page, really, to get a little bit more information. What I have found, I had a look around the web to see what there is about LeftWM, what's been said. And there's surprisingly little out there. It's still quite an early beta by the look of it. I don't think it's been around a huge amount of time. I could be wrong, but certainly in the AUR, it's only up to something like 0.2. And it says it's a LeftWM is a window manager for adventurers. Right, okay, I'm not quite sure why that is. It's not a compositor, it's not a lock screen, it's not a bar, it's simply a window manager. And you get a description on the GitHub page of its default keys. It manages workspaces or screens, if you like, in the same way as Xmonad does. And it's clearly geared up for using multi-screens. And the concept of workspaces and screens are pretty much the same in LeftWM. But if you have one of these super wide screens, they don't have to be. You can have multiple workspaces on a single screen if that's what you want. But by default, one workspace per screen is what you get. It has tags, 9 by default. It's EWMH compliant, which means that it will work with the likes of Polybar. And in terms of installing it, well, nice and simple. If you use an Arch-based system, it's in the AUR. You can also install it directly from Crates.io. Is it Cargo, the Rust package manager? To be honest, I don't know. I don't use it, but apparently you can install it in anything from there. And it's also available in Fedora's COPR. Okay, fine. I just installed it from the AUR. Didn't have to do anything. It set itself up automatically in LightDM. It was there as a login option at the end. So I wasn't starting with StartX, and I didn't really need to do a great deal. Not that many dependencies, and these are largely going to depend on what theme you use, but Fay for setting wallpaper, a compositor, D menu, and then Polybar, Xmobar, or Lemon Bar, and Conky. So not a huge amount that you actually need. What it does have here is, if you look in on the GitLab page at the files, it has a number of themes that you can use to start off with. And what I did is I just downloaded these from the GitLab page to have a play with them. It's always easier if you start with something. Even with all the other window managers that I use, I've always started with somebody else's configuration. And what LeftWM does is it gives you that start. I believe there are also a number of community produced themes, not hundreds, but a few that you can download from there, including a Windows XP theme. Okay, I haven't tried that. So I think that there isn't a lot to read about it. It's one of those things that you just have to try, see what you think, and then it starts to kind of make sense. What I've done for anybody who wants to kind of follow the same sort of experiment that I've gone through, I'm going to show you, first of all, the default setups. Then I'm going to show you what I've done. And if anybody is interested in what I've done, I have uploaded my config to my GitLab page. It's all there, including, well, it's called Basic Polybar, but it's actually been customized. It's my own theme. So feel free to go there, and you'll find all my individual scripts in my bin file or actually in my Polybar directory. So let's go. Let's look at what it looks like out of the box. So you should actually see the screen of LeftWM in front of you. And like most tiling window managers, when you first start them up, nothing to see here is probably all you can really say. Luckily, it is running, and I happen to know that if I do the super key, the Windows key, Shift and Return, I can open a terminal. This is Alacrity that I've just opened. You will need Alacrity as it has it as its default terminal. And I already have my Alacrity customized with my own color scheme, which I've got matched into all the other window managers that I use. It's actually the Nord color scheme. So how do we kind of go from here, and how do we move around it? Well, to start off with, by default, it has 9 workspaces. So I'm on workspace 1. If I hit Super and 2, I go on to the second workspace where you can see I've got OBS, or I could go on to 3 where I've actually got Genie opened, and onto 4, where I've actually got PCman FM open in my .config LeftWM directory. Now, all I did to start off with, after I'd installed LeftWM, was I created a LeftWM directory in my config folder. Inside the LeftWM directory, I created another directory called themes, and I downloaded the themes that are on the LeftWM GitHub page, which are basic lemon bar, basic polybar, and basic Xmobar. Okay, but as you can see, I mean, if I go back to number 1, there's nothing to see here. However, you've got a good start with LeftWM. What you need to do in order to apply one of the standard themes is go into that directory, config, LeftWM, themes. You can see the themes there, basic lemon bar, basic polybar, basic Xmobar, and you need to create a symbolic link to whichever one of those themes that you want to use. So let's start off by looking at basic polybar, so ln-s, basic polybar, and you need to call it current. Oops, if I can type. So if I now look there, I've created a symbolic link called current. You can see that there, and it's linking to basic polybar. Now I can apply that theme simply by doing a soft restart, which you do by Super Shift R, and we'll see what happens and see what the basic polybar looks like. And you can see something is changing here, and let me move to an unused workspace here, and you can see it's applied a wallpaper using Fey, and the wallpaper was actually in the theme folder, and we can click around here and we've got a few widgets up here already. I'm not exactly sure what they are, but clearly you've got volume there. I've no idea what that 45% relates to, or indeed that 13% or 34%, or I presume one of those is CPU and one of them's memory. And then we've got temperature being measured. I don't think this PC is minus 262 degrees C. It's pretty cold here, but it's obviously picking up the wrong thing. And it's got the time and date. Nevertheless, you've got something to start you off. And I quite like the look of that, I have to say. So that's your basic polybar theme, and it gives you something to go at. Let's move back to workspace 1. If I now remove that symbolic link and we try the basic Xmobar, so exactly the same procedure. Create the symbolic link to the basic Xmobar folder, call it current, all good. We can see it's now linked to that, and I do Super Shift R again and see what comes up from here. Right, and let's move over to another workspace so we get a better view of that. We've got a different wallpaper again, and yeah, the Xmobar is being used. I can't say I'm a huge fan of this particular layout of Xmobar, but it gives you a starting point, and it's pretty basic, this, as you can see. So it's telling me what I'm running, OBS, my CPU, my memory, how much swap I'm using, my network, time and date, etc., etc. Okay, so I could stick with that. Or I've got the option to also use a lemon bar config. So let's remove current again and link to basic lemon bar. I've never actually used lemon bar, I have to say. But let's just check we've done that. Oh, hard link not allowed for directory. What have I... Oh, I can see what I've done here. I forgot my S. There we go. So if we look there, it's now linked to basic lemon bar. So if I do super shift R and see what comes up from here. I saw that the dependencies, if you wanted to do this, were obviously lemon bar, and Conky was listed on the LeftWM page as well as a dependency. I don't tend to use it. Where the lemon bar uses it for things like the time and date, I've no idea. But if we just move over to 6 again, workspace 6, again, we've got different wallpaper, and that's your lemon bar config. Okay, so whatever you want to use, you can use Polybar, you can use Xmobar, you can use lemon bar. Whether you can use any other bars, I've no idea, but it's pretty simple to get up and running. So let's just go and have a look at those files that are in the directory. I didn't find a configuration file to download from the GitHub page. So when I first signed in, I didn't quite know what the situation would be, but it also generated this file for me called config.toml. In fact, let me move to workspace 4 and just move back one. It put this config.toml in the LeftWM directory. So this is all of your key bindings. And it's really pretty straightforward. So your mod 4 key, your Windows key is your basic mod key here. We have 9 tags, which are your workspaces, if you like, although it calls them tags. I've always found it quite strange having 9 tags. Why not 8 or 6 or 10? But anyway, you have 9 tags to start off with, and you can see what they're labeled. You've got D menu, linked to Super P, and you can see I can bring that up by doing Super P. You've got Alacrity there, mod shift return as the default terminal, and then you can close Windows with mod shift Q. You can do a soft reload with mod shift R. They've got Slock, which is a screen locker, and that's just running the command Slock, mod control L. Move to last workspace, swap tags. So swap tag should be mod key W. So if I hit mod key W, right, so that literally brings my other screen over here. And if I hit it again, it sends it back. Okay, fine. Move to last workspace. Right, so if I do mod shift W, right, okay, and you can't see anything there, but if I swap tags again by hitting Super W, you can see that what it's actually done is it's moved Genie over to the screen display that was previously just had OBS on. So let me just try and sort this out. So W, there we go. We're back again. So, yeah, pretty easy to work. You can move around with your windows. You can move focus. I noticed that they do, rather than using the Vim keys, the HJKL keys, they tend to use the up key, the down key, the right key, the left key, etc., etc. But you can clearly modify these to suit yourself. And if you've been using any form of tiling window manager before, you're going to customize this. But it just gives you something to start with. Now, inside each of the, let me just move to 4. Inside each of the theme files, so let's go into basic Polybar, for instance, you have a range of different files. The whole configuration of LeftWM is done from these files. So if I move back to Genie, we've obviously got the config TOML, and I've opened up the other files in the basic Polybar directory. So your theme.toml is your border colors, and the margin, so your gaps, and how big your border is going to be. So it's just set at 1 at the moment, so it's pretty thin. You've then got template.liquid. This is quite an interesting file, and I wasn't quite sure what to do with this, to be honest. But as you look at it, what this actually controls is the colours here. The colours on the workspace indicator on your bar. So you can clearly change them to whatever you need them to be. And right at the bottom here, there's something called window title. And through experimentation, I found that it's this, what it's showing you in the middle of the bar. So if you deleted that, you wouldn't have that in the middle of the bar anymore. The window indicator, or whatever you call it. I don't like it, so I can tell you I've got rid of that in my own customized one. I'm not exactly sure what sizes.liquid does. I can make neither head nor tail of that, but I'm sure somebody will tell me. You then have a polybar configuration. So if you've ever worked with polybar before, it's pretty straightforward. You then have a down file, and the down file seems to tell the window manager what to do if you come out of it. So kill Compton or PyCom and kill Polybar. You have another file called change to tag. No idea whatsoever what that is. And I'll tell you what else is there. There should be an up file, which I haven't opened. And this is actually a bash script here. And what this seems to do is it tells you the options to load on startup. So open PyCom or Compton, whichever you've got installed. Set the theme. Set the background using Fey. And I'm presuming down here, this particular section is something to do with figuring out how many monitors you've got, so how many polybars to actually start up. So that's pretty much it. And if I wanted to shut that, obviously I just do Super Shift Q. Not a lot more to it. So let me show you what I've actually done. Right, so you should see in front of you what I've ended up with. It didn't actually take very long to get this set up. I made a few changes to the polybar config, and I changed some of the colours around so it all matches my Nord theme. I'm also using the awesome icons for the tags rather than numbers. I'm using the Noto colour emojis, and yeah, you can even see I've got a little system tray there. I've changed all the key bindings just to suit what I normally use, so I can now just hit Super and Enter to open a terminal, and Super and Q to close the terminal. Dead simple. I can open my Rofi, which I use with everything, and I can pretty much run everything that I want. I've also replaced Fey with nitrogen, and I'm actually pointing polybar to some of my custom scripts. I can also open most things here. So if I wanted to launch, for instance, the Brave browser, there you go. It's launched straight away on my GitHub page, and I can close it down just as quickly. Just to go over to those different files, really simple to make changes to this. I simply replace the tag numbers in the config.toml file by pasting in awesome icons. No problem whatsoever. Changed all of my key bindings to what I'm used to in this file. And in Polybar, what did I do? I pretty much left a lot of the configuration as is. It had these sections in for main bar 0, main bar 1, main bar 2, main bar 3, etc. And I think that's something to do with it auto finds out how many actual screens you've got. So I just left them as was. When I started to remove them, things went wrong. What I did change, though, was the bar base section. I'm using the basic polybar as my kind of base foundation for here. And I added in the fonts I wanted to use. So Ubuntu Mono Nerd font, Font Awesome, and the Noto color emojis. Modules right, well, I just put in some of the modules that were already there, but I also added in links to some of the scripts that I use, and I got rid of some of the stuff that I wasn't using. And you can see all I've done in the polybar config for these emojis is I've just pasted them in here. So polybar's a separate thing altogether, but if you've ever used polybar before, it's pretty straightforward. That up script was pretty important as well. It starts PyCom automatically, so I left that as is. But I got rid of the command that launched Fey and try and set the wallpaper, and I just put in nitrogen. And in fact, what you can see here, this is your startup file, essentially. I'm linking it to the Mate authentication agent. I'm doing a nitrogen restore when we start up. I'm setting the keyboard layout to GB, and a little thing there for a synaptic mouse. Actually, I don't need this on this particular machine, but that was for my laptop to make sure that the touchpad worked properly. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. In terms of layouts, you do have a number of different layouts. I've just got 3 terminals up here, as you'll see. I've still got the default key binding on this, which is super control and the up key. And if I just keep cycling through, you can see it has a number of different layouts. But its default is the master and stack, so the Xmonad layout. And to be honest, I stick with that. I don't really vary. So I've been pretty pleased with it overall. It seems to be quite stable, even though the release is only something like 0.2. There's been a few little quirks. The main one being I've found that if I'm actually in LeftWM and I'm editing the config files, there's been a few times where the system has frozen and I've had to come out of it and re-log in. But actually, if I'm not messing around with the LeftWM files, it's been pretty solid, to be honest. It hasn't got as many key bindings as the likes of Xmonad. But what I found is it has the key bindings that I use. And I've stripped my Xmonad config down to the basics anyway. I just want to be able to move around and, move windows to different workspaces and everything else. And it pretty much does the job. So, Xmonad, Qtile, LeftWM, SpectreWM, the tags work in exactly the same way. So I know, for instance, on tag 2, I've currently got OBS running. So, if I click that, the tags swap over. So they're not independent of each screen. There are... well, I've got 8 tags now. I've reduced it. I've got 8 tags shared between 2 screens. So depending what you have running on tag 1 and 2, if you click at the top, it moves over. So, yeah, nothing more to say. I really like it. Let's go and have a chat. Right, so that's LeftWM. I like it. I think it's a decent window manager. In fact, I'd go more than decent. I think if you're used to Xmonad or Qtile or Spectrum WM or Spectre WM, I can never get that right, you'll find it's pretty much similar. It's simpler to configure. That's what I found. It didn't take long to get up and running. It seems relatively stable. I haven't had any problems over the last couple of weeks, other than when I've been editing the LeftWM theme files. And I'm certainly going to continue to live in it for a couple more weeks. So another winner. Really like it. And Rust seems to be, one of those those languages that is really kind of making waves at the moment. It's good to have options, it really is. And the fact that it's easy to theme and to instantly get something up and running, I think is a real bonus for people who've never used a tiling window manager before. What do I want to say? Yeah. You'll notice that at the beginning of this video, I replaced my Patreon thing with a little join me on library thing. It's not that I've dropped Patreon, but because I most definitely haven't. But library, I'm really starting to think that it's gaining traction. And I've been looking at it with some interest over the last week or so, which is why I got the little join me on library thing. I think it's starting to become a real alternative to YouTube. People still need YouTube, of course they do. That's where we get the views and everything else. But if you want to download the video and watch it yourself, offline, and I really like the tipping system that they have there, where people can tip you a number of credits if they like what you've watched. It seems quite fair to me, so I'm going to be watching that with interest, certainly over the coming months. That's it for today. As normal, I would just like to say, please guys, join me on my Facebook group. It's a friendly group. Join me on library, certainly. And last, but certainly not least, thank you to all my Patreons: Robert, Gary, Aristotelis, Stormpix, Stephen, Mike, David, Richard, Ty, Philip, Forrest, Patrick, Glenn, Magnus and Skipper. Thanks, guys. Your support has been absolutely tremendous. That's going to be it for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you next week.